Tour for free.
Okay.
Come on down. Okay. We gotta go where it happened.
Okay.
So I take note of our skylight.
Okay.
That is original.
Okay.
Come on down here. The billiard table would have been about here.
Okay.
We do have a pool table,
Oh, wow.
a little different. And this is what we looked like back in 1882. We're the Campbell and Hatch Saloon and Billiard Hall. And this is where Morgan Earp was killed in real life, not in the movies. So you see the two doors in the photo. That would be this door here on the right and our changing room door right here. They represent these doors.
Okay.
When you walked through these doors in 1882, you were outside, you were in the alley. So the back room is an addition. There's the billiard table. Like I said, we have a pool table, but there's a hanging light fixture and a block of light that is our skylight still today. So the skylight the pool table was between us and the skylight, so just up here. So on March 18th, 1882, it's the day before Wyatt's birthday. So the Earps go to Shefflin Hall to see a play. Shefflin Hall is a tall Masonic building. They're on 4th and Fremont. They come over here afterwards. It's about 10 o'clock at night. Wyatt's sitting along the wall there where our t-shirts are folded today, and Morgan's playing pool with Bob Hatch, one of the owners. Now in the movie Tombstone, Wyatt was not in the saloon when Morgan was shot, but he really was. So here we go. Campbell and Hatch Saloon and Billiard Hall, March 18th. It's the day before Wyatt's birthday, but it's also 5 months after the incident on Fremont Street, which later in 1929, Hollywood changed that title to the gunfight at the OK Corral. Okay, so it happened on 3rd and Fremont. So they put their show on just off kilter from that because they can't do it in the street, right? So you got your smoking gun coming behind Morgan. That would be coming through our changing room door today. These words were Morgan's. They were only heard by Wyatt. This is the last game of pool I'll ever play. So when the gunfire comes in, it misses Wyatt. Goes right over his head into the wall, of course, because Wyatt was never hit by a bullet. So of course it misses him, right? So another bullet comes in and it does hit Morgan. In the movie, he gets shot in the back. He's on the pool table and that's where he dies. In real life, the bullet hits him. It goes through him. It severs his spine and bullet comes out, it ricochets, and it goes into the thigh of another guy. His name is George Barry. I call him Lucky George because he lives. So there's other people in the saloon. They run out the door, see if they can catch anybody. Remember, it's an alley, and now it's 11 o'clock at night. So it's dark. There you go. Okay, yeah, feel free. So I do the nickel tour for free. So people ran out. It's dark. They don't see anybody. Somebody else ran to go get Dr. Goodfellow. Now, historically, Dr. Goodfellow's house is on 1st and Tough Nut. It's just 2 blocks west of the courthouse, and the stagecoach and the trolley, they drive right by it. So Wyatt's waiting for the doctor. He moves his brother into this room, okay? And that is what they called a card room or a parlor. So you can see we are twice as wide today. There would have been a wall coming down this side, and you are in the card room, sir. So that's the card room. There's a poker table, a faro table, and a couch in there, or what they called a lounge. Wyatt helped Morgan onto the lounge, and that's where he heard him say, "This is the last game of pool I'll ever play." So Morgan knows he's done, right? Dr. Goodfellow gets here. There's nothing he can do for Morgan. There's a lot of damage. There's no bullet. My assumption is he's working on George because he can help him with the bullet in the thigh. The whole story I'm telling you was written up in the epitaph, and that was one of the newspapers back then, and that museum is behind the Crystal Palace on 5th Street. So it takes about 45 minutes for Morgan to bleed out and die. He dies just before midnight. Remember, the next day is Wyatt's birthday, thus starting the vendetta ride where Wyatt goes after who he feels is responsible. But first he's got to take care of the body of Morgan and get the rest of the family out of Arizona. Well, the train does not come to Tombstone in 1882, so it doesn't make it here as a stop until after 1905. So he's got to take him out to the town of Contention, which is a ghost town today between here and Benson along the river. Not much left of it. Well, he's loading everybody up. He's got the body of Morgan. He's got Virgil, who's wounded. Now, Virgil was shot in the movie. It made you feel like it was the same night, but it was actually 3 months earlier. So it was December 28th, 1881. He left the Oriental Saloon, which is right there on 5th Street, and he was crossing 5th Street, and that's where he was shot, and he lost the use of his arm. He's loading everybody up. He hears rumor that Frank Stillwell's in Tucson, and Frank is saying he's going to finish Virgil off when the train stops in Tucson. So Wyatt gets his posse on the train. So it's Wyatt, Doc, McMasters, Turkey Creek, and Warren, the youngest Earp. Now, a lot of people don't know that James and Warren are brothers of the Earps, and James is the oldest, Warren's the youngest, and they were here during that time. They weren't in the movie. Anyhow, they get on the train. Train stops in Tucson, and sure enough, there's Frank Stillwell. In the movie, Wyatt shoots Frank with a shotgun, and that's where the saying, tell him justice is coming and hell's coming with me, right? Well, in real life, those 5 men that I mentioned, they put over 140 slugs of lead into Frank. That's a lot. Not much left of Frank. The coroner's report said he was the most shot up man he'd ever seen. And on a more humorous writing that I read somewhere else, it said that he didn't know whether to bury him or sell him for scrap. So, anyway, that's the story. And there is a museum up in Tucson at the train station.
Okay.
There's a museum for the train, which is really cool. But outside the museum, there's a statue of Wyatt and Doc. And there's a placard that talks about that killing. And there's a drawing almost as big as this paper of Wyatt, where Wyatt drew where everybody was standing during that gunfight.
Cool.
There
Thank
you go.
you.
You're welcome.